Okay, there we go. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome to this masterclass live today on stress and your gut health. Okay, so most people have stress, most people have a gut, so it's a kind of a good topic that can apply to everybody, I think. And I wanted to really make sure that if you're tuned in, that you understand how stress affects your gut. Also, if you've heard the term leaky gut, which is another term for intestinal permeability. I want to make sure you understand what that is. If you're in my tribe, it's likely that you probably have some health issues, maybe some belly issues. So I want to explain what that is and explain to you how stress and your gut are linked up. So let's start with the leaky gut. Let's start with understanding how your gut works. Then we're going to understand how stress impacts that, and then maybe some things that you can do to try to alleviate that. So what I want to do is share with you my screen, and I want to show you exactly what leaky gut is. Okay, so here we go. Okay, and by the way, if you're tuning in, this is streaming in multiple places. I cannot see every place, so I can't necessarily see comments from everywhere, but I would love to know if you're listening. If you do have a question, put it in. If it's in the places where I see it during the live, I'll answer it on the spot. If not, I will go back after I'm done and check. So definitely put in your questions. And I want to make sure that I get those out to you. While I'm sharing my screen, I can't see any questions, so I'll leave this in a minute and come back to you. But as you can see here, it says your gut's bugs may as well be considered an organ in their own right. They're just as vital to your health as your heart, your lungs, your liver, and your brain. So the bacteria and the environment that exists in your gut is as important to your body as any other major organ. And that's a really important concept to get. That's why for the last several years now, people are hearing the term leaky gut. People are hearing your immune system resides primarily in your gut. So here's why that is. If you think of your gut, really it's one long tube starting at your mouth, going down, working its way, and coming out the other end. It's one long tube that is the interface between the external environment and inside your body. Inside your body is really like your bloodstream, okay? But this tube is really external to your body. It's coming in, you're right, there's access for some things to come in from either end, excuse me, or, and it's the lining's job to make sure only the good things get through to the inside of the body, meaning into the bloodstream. So when we look at that, I think this does a nice job if you can read it. I'm going to read it out loud. A healthy gut works like a cheesecloth, allowing only nutrients through, but keeping larger food particles and pathogenic bacteria. So pathogenic means bacteria that can cause disease eventually if it stays there long enough. Also yeast and parasites, those things need to stay out. So they might enter, right? You might get a parasite swim in a lake. You might get a parasite eat some food, bacteria that is nasty, but it's the job of the gut to keep those out. So in a leaky gut, the tight junctions are loosened. So like a cheesecloth, things are supposed to come through. You can also think of it as like your grandmother's blanket that she crocheted, right? There's some that were knitted very, very tight, and the threads are very close to each other. And there's some those granny blankets that the squares you can put your fingers right through. We don't want that. We want the tighter junctions. So if you look here on this side, and here's your bloodstream, that's what I mean by this is the tube. This is a cross section of the tube that goes that whole way, and it's bumped right up against the bloodstream, which is really in the internal part of your body. This here is external environment. Here's the border. So these junctions between And this is taken actually from Dr. Vincent Pedra. Okay, I hope I said that right. Yep. Who is really an expert in gut health. He's done a lot of work with people. So this is taken from his website, but this is a standard graphic on gut health. So here are the junctions between. So you've got fingers, right? The whole length of it has fingers that move things through like this. And the spaces between the fingers need to be pretty small, pretty thin, not too open, number one. And then also the fingers themselves need to stand up nice and tall, not be damaged and bent. So, and it's lined with mucosa. Anywhere where there's an opening to the external environment, your respiratory tract, your digestive tract, there's going to be mucus, and the mucus's job, that barrier, is to keep things out. So here's a good healthy lining where the junctures are pretty close. And what's living here, the things that you see here, are normal, healthy bacteria that you want to see. Over here, you're going to see the junction got damaged. There's now a gap. It's widened. It's not really showing bent fingers, but that's also another problem. They get like bent down with over time with damage. And then what happens here are things start to thrive. And there's a lot of different reasons. Stress is one of the main ones. In fact, here, this is saying what causes a healthy gut to go to a leaky gut. How does that happen? Why did that maybe happen to you? So these are the things that are going to contribute to that. If you get an infection, if you have low stomach acid, stress is here. Now, in my mind, stress would be at the top, because stress is something that happens to people over and over and over again. You might be on an antibiotic one time 10 years ago, or you might have a time in your life, like in college, where you ate junk food. And those things do all add up. They definitely all need to be addressed if you have leaky gut. But stress is something that happens over and over and over again every day. So that's why I want to focus that and the impact on your gut. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing immune cells. So in this healthy bloodstream, you've got good immune cells. That's why the gut is tied to the immune system. All right, you've got these little squares here. Those are nutrients from the food that you eat. We want those nutrients to come through into the bloodstream. Pathogens, see how they're up here? Things get in to a person with a healthy gut, but they're not being allowed through to the bloodstream. But over here on the right, these pathogens are being allowed to come through. And then we also see some undigested food particles. People get food sensitivities, okay? And you see all of that now winding up in the bloodstream. When there's pathogens, undigested food particles, and food proteins in the bloodstream, the immune system gets triggered on and says, that's a problem. That's not supposed to be here. And now people start to develop. It's one of the main reasons people get autoimmune disease. It's also why people don't absorb their nutrients well, right? So they don't have good nutrient absorption, and therefore they're undernourished, even though they're eating plenty of food, but their nourishment is poor. And these pathogens here travel throughout the body. So if it's like a virus, Epstein-Barr virus, really anything, things that settle in the joints, and that contributes to rheumatoid arthritis, other conditions, because these pathogens, things travel into the brain and settle into the brain. The bloodstream's going throughout the whole body. So once these guys are along for the ride, they will decide where they want to go. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and be back here. Okay, so that is a picture of the lining of your gut. Those are the different components and what leaky gut is. Oh, hey, I see Facebook user says this is awesome, but I don't know who you are, but thank you. I'm glad you're here. If you have any questions, please type them. So that is what leaky gut is. You saw the list of what contributes to that, and I want to focus on stress. And as a functional health practitioner, so FDN, as you can see here on my title, means functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So as a functional health practitioner, I've worked with people who have chronic health issues. And what I kept finding was we could change their diet. We even could heal leaky gut because the lining of your gut can heal pretty quickly. If we start to take those things out, that lining, those cells will turn over fairly quickly, and you can get a healthy gut again. The problem is, what I was finding was that it wasn't staying, it wasn't holding. And why is that? Well, one of those main causes is stress. And so we can learn how to do some deep breathing. We can learn how to calm our nervous system, but people still stay stressed for a lot of different reasons. So what does stress do to the lining of the gut? When you are stressed, all that means is you have a perception that something is threatening to you. So it could be you're in a traffic jam. It could be you're in an argument with your spouse or partner. It could be your kids are not listening to you. It could be a presentation at work. All of those scenarios, which happens throughout the day, it could be watching the news, what's going on in the news. And right away, your perception is such that your body has a response to it. And the response is going to be due to the way you see that event, right? So two people could be sitting in a traffic jam. One person says, okay, great, I'm going to put my seat back a little bit and put some music on. What can I do anyway? And the other person is swearing at all the cars in front of them and laying on their horn, even though nobody can move, right? So they're in the same event, but they're perceiving it differently. So it's your perception about the event, and it's the emotional feelings that your body is used to going to. So our body gets very used to going to anger. Our body gets very used to going to, it's like an automatic trigger. It's one of the things, certain emotions will stay stored in our body from our memories. So if you're in an event and you have, it feels enough like a similar memory from before, your body is going to pull up those stored emotions. You're going to be right back into worry, fear, overwhelm, anger, frustration. And now you're not in a life-threatening situation, right? You're in a conversation with somebody, or you're stuck in traffic, or you're about to go out on stage and give a presentation. And that's why they say butterflies in the stomach, right? Because right away, most people, and think about yourself, where do you feel those emotions when you're getting upset? Very often right in your belly. You feel your belly get tight. And you might feel it in other parts of your body, like your neck and shoulders, but you feel like butterflies in your stomach, right? That's why it's called that. So what's happening when your body says, I'm in danger, right away, the digestive system shuts down. That's its job, shut down, because the body thinks it needs the blood flow for digestion, all of that energy to go to your arms and legs so you can get out of this situation. So let's just say you just ate lunch, or you're eating dinner at home and an argument starts, or the kids say something snotty and now you're annoyed, or you're still ruminating on what happened at work, but you're eating. And when you're eating, your digestive system needs the blood flow. It needs you to chew really well, that's a whole nother conversation. But getting that food from your mouth down into the belly is important. You want to chew well. You want to not be drinking because you don't want to dilute your stomach acid. If you remember on that list, low stomach acid, A lot of people have low stomach acid. So you want to not be drinking and diluting your stomach acid. You want to be chewing well, and you want to be relaxed. But now something happens and you're in an argument at the dinner table, or you're remembering something, or you're worried about something that's going to happen tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Digestion shuts down in that moment when your emotions and your thoughts go there. And if that just happened once, it's not the end of the world. But when it happens day after day after day, and I'm not saying only when you eat is it a problem, but all day long, even if you're not eating, even if you ate 2 hours ago, but you still have nutrients there, you still have some pathogens or nasty bacteria that need to be cleared out. But your digestive system is not doing that. It shut down. It's just like a submarine, right? A submarine is in the water. Everybody's doing their thing, and now a battleship is coming. What happens? The submarine immediately, boom, people jump up from where they are, the hatches come down, and they go into battle mode. That's what happens in your body. Not only does it happen in your digestive system, but the immune system also shuts down, because the body says, oh, this is not time for me to fight a virus. This is not time for me to kill those parasites. This is the time for me to run from, my life is in danger. My life is in danger. That's why I'm feeling this way. And so your immune system will shut down. The digestive system will shut down every single time that you have those thoughts and feelings in your body throughout the day. So over time, people develop leaky gut, and I think stress is the number one problem. That's why I only work now with stress. I felt like I was doing a lot of work with people. They were doing a lot of work on healing their gut with changing their food, taking all the supplements that they take to help heal that lining. That's a whole nother conversation about how to heal your leaky gut. I'll give you some tips though. But doing all of that work, and then 7 months later, and feeling great and noticing a difference, but 6 or 7 months later being right back to where they were feeling bloated. So with leaky gut, you probably notice you feel bloated. You might be constipated, or the opposite, but there's some type of irregularity depending on what bacteria are thriving or not thriving in your gut, right? So that's going to determine how you're going to the bathroom. But the bloating, the discomfort, and then it's going to affect your energy throughout the day. Are you getting the nutrients that you need? Are you nutrient deficient? All of that. So you can do all of the work to heal that. And there's certain things that you can take to heal the lining of the gut, that mucosal border, to get the junctions tighter again. Collagen is one thing that really helps, because collagen helps with connective tissue and creating that. And again, as I said, we have cellular turnover. Your body will make new cells. If you keep the bad stuff out, new healthy cells will form. And depending on how long this has been an issue for you, I've had clients say to me, I haven't gone to the bathroom normally since I was 10 years old, and they're in their 50s, right? That's going to take a little longer. There's a long-standing damage and environment there that you have to unwind. But if you don't take on your stress, all of it really is for nothing, because you're going to do all that work. And I promise you, in a certain amount of time, all your symptoms are going to be there again. So you've got to take on your stress. Your stress is shutting down your digestive system. It's impacting how you're absorbing your nutrients, right? It's keeping your body in a fight or flight. So let me give you some tips, because I try not to be on much longer than a half hour when I do these. So it's doable for you. So some tips for leaky gut. Number one, remove all those things that were on that list. If you remember, try not to be on antibiotics if you can help it. Try to put back good probiotics, and I wouldn't start with probiotics. People just tend to buy probiotics at the store. It's not really that helpful. Number one, things at the store never really make it down into your stomach and survive and thrive. And number two, it's kind of good to know what bacteria you need to be replacing. There's thousands of strains of bacteria. And so what do you have and what do you need is a better way to go about it. But eating fermented foods is a good thing, making sure that you keep your stomach acid up, and that would be not diluting when you eat, and also eat bitters before your meal, 10 to 15 minutes before. Chew on arugula, things that are bitter. That stimulates. In our culture, we tend to like sweet, salty, and fat. Those are the flavors that we like, right? We don't like bitter food really. But every culture in time had some form of fermented foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, whatever each culture had, because those were really good foods for your belly. So you can add those in on a daily basis. Just have a serving of a good fermented food, eat fiber. And these are general guidelines, because for some people, if you're having a lot of gut issues, you don't want raw vegetables right away. It's too much, right? So I'm just giving you some general guidelines, but that's around the gut part. And then for stress, you really want to start to learn how you perceive the events in your life, right? Are you a person who goes to worry and anxiety automatically? And where did that come from? Did you grow up in a household where your parents were always worried or anxious, or there was a lot of anger growing up? I grew up in an alcoholic household. That's a whole nother level of stress. But what's important to understand is the way that you perceive your events, number one, and number two, the emotions that are stuck in your body. Until we clear them, you've got to clear them, because they stay in your body at a cellular level. The emotions of anger, just because you shove it down and pretend not to be angry anymore, or maybe you don't even pretend, maybe you're like, no, I'm over that. You're over that up here, but in your body, you're not. So picture like an ice cube. An iceberg, right? You've got, when you see a picture of an iceberg, there's this much above the water and there's this much down below the water. The below the water part is your subconscious. It's your past memories that you haven't thought about for 30 years, but it's still in there under the water. So on a daily basis, you may not be consciously thinking about the things that were maybe upsetting when you were a kid. And, a lot of people call that stored trauma. To me, trauma is, it had a very strong connotation, like somebody was raped when they were a kid or something like that. And that certainly is traumatizing. But people have trauma all the time, just as regular life experiences. You can take your lunch tray in first grade and go to sit down at the lunch table, and a kid laughs at you, or everybody gets up and moves away. That's traumatizing to a first grader, right? So those events happen to all of us. Those are just life events. It doesn't have to be. A lot of people go, I didn't have anything traumatizing. You did. It's just, at different levels, but those experiences stay in your body. So even if you're not thinking about it consciously, it's there. I had a client who could not understand why they got upset. They would start off their day fine, get up during the day, was kind of, calm, no big deal. And then always at some point throughout the day would get triggered. You've heard the word get triggered, and didn't know why. So the triggering would put her in a state of worry and anxiety, but she didn't know why. It was never like this one particular thing. And so what we got to when we did some work on her subconscious was the color yellow. Something happened to her, and it was kind of a specific bright yellow. But if she saw that, not only if somebody was wearing something yellow, but if she saw that same shade of yellow out in the world, her subconscious, that big iceberg below the water, remembered a time when she was a kid when something traumatizing happened, and it was traumatizing enough to really stay stored there in her body. So we all have that, right? And until you start to realize that, the stress response that you're going to have throughout the day will keep happening. And then the hit on your digestive system will keep happening. So I just want to make sure you understand that. Again, as I said, this is broadcasting to a few different places. And I have a group that everybody has health issues. The whole group is about health, and most people there have gut issues. I also have 2 other places this is going, and you may not have health issues, but you don't have great energy, you can't lose weight, things like that. And that is all related to a constant stress response. So I'm going to wrap it up now. I hope that gave you a good understanding of the link between stress and your gut, what leaky gut is. It's another name for intestinal permeability. So permeability is the ability to allow things to permeate through. And we want to have good control over that. We don't want leaks and gaps and things like that. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back after I'm done and check to see if anybody put any questions in the places that I cannot see. And on Thursday, we're going to do some more work. I'm going to try to do Tuesdays and Thursdays around this time. So there'll be another live on Thursday. So hopefully I'll see you there. And I'll be posting that tomorrow and what the topic is. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day. And I'm looking forward to answering any questions if you have them. Bye.